If you go to the Philippines and you can't walk out of there with a fiance, dude, I don't know, man. There might be some serious issues we need to talk about. If you're a good guy with good old-fashioned family values and a healthy respect for women in relationships and realistic age difference expectations, and you're willing to get on a plane and go and meet somebody, you can be incredibly successful everywhere you go. But definitely, guys, the Philippines is one of our best markets, one of our most productive places. We're seeing video from the Philippines right now, so how about that? Look at all of those women at that social. That is a great place to go and find your bride. I'll tell you what, I work with 4 or 5 guys that have married women from the Philippines or are about to, and the girls are incredibly charming. They really are. The girls are just wonderful, sweethearts. And any man would be lucky to go to the Philippines and find his bride. So do it! Don't hesitate. All right, let's keep going. Brock says, has a time been selected for the conference call for the tour? I haven't seen an email coming in to provide that information. Thank you. I believe the time is going to be this Friday night, Brock. So I will send an email out scheduling a conference call for this Friday night. Quite frankly, a lot of the stuff that we'll talk about in our conference call for the upcoming tour will be stuff you are also going to hear on the ground in Ukraine. So if you can't make it this Friday night, don't panic. You're going to get it again when you arrive in Ukraine. But it's going to be this Friday night, Brock, and I'll send out an email to everybody. Bill is asking, how much of an age difference are the ladies from Ukraine comfortable with? The ladies from Ukraine are going to be comfortable. Look, it varies, Bill. It really does. Some women are okay with 5 years. Some women are okay with 10 years or 15 years. Some are even okay with 20 years. But a lot of women are not okay with something more than that. And it really is an individual thing. It just depends on so many circumstances. But on average, the women in Ukraine will say, I have no problem meeting an older man, 10 years, 12 years, then we're still from the same basic generation. When he starts to, 20 years, 22 years of age difference, we're not from the same generation. And then that's going to get a little weird. So one of the things you can do just to make sure that you're in the right place with somebody as far as age expectations go is ask her how old her parents are. And if you are as old or older than her parents, she's probably not going to go there. Now, there's one exception to that, and that is the Philippines. Women in the Philippines will stretch that age difference to a little bit beyond, maybe the age of their parents, whether they should or not or whatever. That's up to them, but some of them will do it. It's a little difficult in Ukraine to find women that will do that. And guess what? That is no compromise at all, because there are many, many, many stunning women in Ukraine and everywhere in their 30s, in their 40s, and even 50s for you older gentlemen. So go get them. Bob says, how does it usually work out with women here in the United States that are part of AFA that you would like to meet? So if there are women in the United States that you would like to meet, Bob, contact us. Let us know who they are, how and when you would like to meet them, and we'll help you out with that. We have staff here dedicated to that exact process. So just reach out to us. We can definitely make that happen for you as long as the women are willing to. Eddie says, I missed the seminar in Houston due to work. When will we be back? Thank you, Eddie. As a matter of fact, I think John and Tanya will be doing seminars in Houston and Dallas in March or early April, and we'll announce those dates very, very shortly. So a lot coming up, guys. Lots coming up. How we doing, boys? We're looking at social footage from Odessa, Ukraine. This is July of 2016. And I was the leader of this tour. I recognize the women and the men, and it's really nice to see them meeting each other. Again, guys, I can't overemphasize this enough. You have to watch the men and the women interacting with each other, and especially realize that when they're so comfortable and smiling and friendly, they've just met. In a social situation here in the States, or in your community, in your backyard, or wherever you hang out, you see somebody who's attractive. You want to go over and say hello. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Some men are too shy to do that. But let's imagine that you do. How does it go? I mean, is it comfortable right away? Is it kind of awkward and strange and weird and excruciating for a little while until things get comfortable? And then it gets better, right? But it takes some time. It's interesting how in this environment, people get comfortable with each other right away. People get comfortable with each other. I mean, look, you've got lonely men, lonely women. We want to meet each other. That's why we go to the socials. We meet each other. It's interesting. It really is. Now, wow, it's great to see familiar faces. Just looking at these socials, the men, the women, people that I know, people that I've met. It's really cool to see people meeting each other. Very nice. very comfortable, very tasteful, very self-respecting environment that we bring people to. This whole thing is very integrity driven. When we throw a party, we do it right. We make it incredibly comfortable. There's champagne, a beautiful venue where people want to come. It's clean, it's comfortable. There's a little bit of music and entertainment, some nice food. Look at that video, guys. Put yourself in that guy's place. Not hard to do. Buy yourself a ticket, buy yourself a tour, call us up, we'll tell you how to do it. I love that moment. Did you just see that moment on camera? I talk about this moment all the time. People meet each other. See, one of the things we talk about in the seminar is that there's some unwritten rule out there people believe exists, that only people from the same country can meet each other and fall in love. And that if people from different countries or different parts of the world meet each other and fall in love, there's something wrong with that. And that's completely stupid. There's no such rule at all. Think about it. No such rule at all. Any two people can fall in love anywhere on the planet if they get in front of each other and have chemistry and common ground. It's true. So, usually describing in my seminars, how do people fall in love? I mean, what if you go anywhere on the planet, pick a country in your mind, and just imagine you going there, and you meet a girl somewhere in a social environment, you like each other, wow, she's kind of cute, well, he's kind of cute, and you're talking to each other, then, before you know it, you're having coffee together, or having some champagne together, or just some nice conversation, and then there's that moment when your hands touch, or you brush up against each other, and you think to yourself, what was that? Was that intentional or not? Did she mean to do that? Was that her way of just kind of closing the proximities so we can be a little closer and comfortable with each other? And I swear I just saw that in one of the videos where this guy and this girl bump into each other, standing next to each other, and they just kind of casually, hands just kind of casually touch each other, and you could see the moment of surprise on the guy's face, like, whoa, what was that? Was that intentional? Probably was. All right, questions, guys. Come on, let me have it. I'm here for you. What are some of these women's perceptions about America and American men? Ryan asks. Ryan, great question. It's interesting. During our seminar in Orlando yesterday, our great manager in Odessa, it was 7 o'clock in Odessa, Ukraine, our great manager gathered 5 or 6 very nice girls from Odessa and brought them to our office so we could do a live Skype in the middle of the seminar with these girls. So the guys who came to my seminar yesterday in Orlando were talking freely with these girls who had gathered in our office in Odessa, Ukraine. And one of the guys asked, what questions do you have of us American men? Because the men were asking all the questions and the girls were answering. And one of the girls said, why Ukrainian women? Why do you want to come to Ukraine to find a wife? And it's so interesting that the women on the other side of our experience are a little curious about why are we here. They don't necessarily understand our challenges. They don't understand our culture. They look on television and they have one impression of how things are in America, but they're not necessarily familiar with the realities. And it's a real curious thing. Why are you guys interested in us? Why are you going to come halfway around the world to meet Ukrainian women? And that's always a favorite question for guys to answer, because we just love to tell them the things that we appreciate about them, right? So what are some of the things that women wonder about America and American men? I will tell you that a lot of women from all over the world, when they think about coming to America, it's equal parts excitement and trepidation. There's a lot of nervousness going on. What am I going to do when I come there and I can't, speak the language beautifully? How am I going to communicate with people? What if we're in social situations, or I'm in those situations with my fiance, my husband? I don't want to embarrass him, but I'll be so nervous. It'll be really hard for me to talk to people. How will I find work? This is the kind of work that I'm doing currently. It's what I've been doing for a long time. It's all I really know how to do. Am I going to be able to find this work or some other kind of work in America? And just questions like that. How frequently will I be able to communicate with my family and my friends back home? How can I come back home if my parents, need me to come back home, or I want to visit them? And these are all very, very typical questions, which you, as the kind, supportive, reassuring guy, will be able to answer and completely put to bed, as we say, right? I think probably the biggest shock for women from other countries when they come to America, quite frankly, is our food. Because food in a lot of the countries, look, we don't go to third world countries, guys, you understand, right? Everywhere we go, there's a developed food system which is much, much better than American food. American food, for the most part, a lot of really horrible options out there. And there are reasons why these women are thin and healthy and beautiful, and they have great skin and such lovely eyes and hair, and they're so active, and it's just because the food system in their country is often much better than the food system in our country. So providing them with access to the kinds of foods they're used to eating is definitely one of the things that we'll need to do, and that's a topic of conversation that we can definitely have when you're on our tour or at our seminars. We can talk about how to do that. Steven says, the Asian club is 1 week up to 2 weeks. Am I right? You have the choice, Steve, of a 7-day Asian club, a 10-day Asian club, or a 14-day Asian club. And if you choose the 10-day or the 14-day, that means additional days of introductions, obviously. So we'll just make additional introductions until you tell us to cut it out. You can't take it anymore. Eddie is asking Bud, on the Ukraine tours, is there a means for introductions to be limited to ladies who are age appropriate for myself? And the answer is 100% absolutely, Eddie. Really, Eddie, you're in the driver's seat. Anybody who travels with us to meet women, you can meet whoever you want. And, you know, if you're in your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, shucks, if you're in your 30s and you want to meet women who are really, really, really young and inexperienced, I might caution you against that based on what I've seen in my 17 years of doing what I do. The women that are really young are too inexperienced to really have a good grip on what they're doing here. They're here, but you know, you need a certain amount of life and relationship experience to be able to handle all of the stress that's going to come with creating a new relationship that leads to marriage, that leads to relocation and starting a life anew. So anyway, you can meet whoever you want to meet. If you tell us I want to meet women who are of a certain age, we'll tell you that's fine. You can do it as long as you're okay with the results, because it is what it is, right? But if you want to meet women who are age appropriate and that's a focus for you, I applaud you. I can promise you that our staff everywhere around the world will go completely crazy to make sure that you're meeting all kinds of women who are in the age bracket that you want to meet, as long as that is realistic. And so no problem there at all, Eddie. Honestly, guys who come to me and say, Bud, look, I'm not chasing 21-year-olds around. That'd be completely insane. I want to meet women who are more mature, who are in the same place, roughly, that I'm in at this stage of life, and have lots to share with me, because we have more in common than I would have with someone who's as young as my children. If somebody says that to me, I'm like, dude, we're on fire. Let's go. I'm going to line them up for you, and you're going to have some great dates, some great introductions, and you just let me know when you've had enough. That's easy to do. Great questions, guys. Keep them coming. Come on. Click that green box and let me know what your questions are. That's what we're here for tonight, to answer questions for you around international dating and such. Remember that February 17th, Saturday, and Saturday, the 24th of February, we will be doing an international dating seminar. It's completely free, very informative, a lot of fun, save you a ton of money if you want to travel with us this year. 17th of February, I'll be in St. Louis. And the 24th of February, we'll be here in Phoenix at our corporate headquarters. So RSVP@bud@loveme.com if you want to go, so we can save you a seat. Bud, enjoy the conference on Saturday, says Jason. Thank you. We were in Nashville on Saturday, looking to attend the Kiev-Kharkov tour in July. Good for you. If I met somebody in Kiev or Kharkov, can I stay in that city and continue dating that person, or is it expected that you will continue to the third city on that tour, which is Sumy? You most definitely may stay in Kiev or Kharkov. Sumy is a sweet place. Sumy is a beautiful little city nobody ever goes to, with a lot of very beautiful and bored women there. But so what? If you meet your girl in Kiev or you meet your girl in Kharkov and you're happy and you want to plunk it down in one of those two cities and not go on to the third city, I might assess the situation and possibly try and talk you out of it. But if you say, Bud, this girl's great, I'm happy, this is who I came to meet, I will be happy for you. What happens is you end up eating the hotel in Sumy, and you'll end up buying more hotel in Kharkov or Kiev, but it's not very expensive. It's not a big deal, believe me, and we can help you to do that. And you will not be the only guy doing that, I guarantee you. In July, we'll have a huge group. It's probably our biggest tour of the year, the July Ukraine tour. Could get up to 50 guys, sometimes 60 guys. And there will be at least a handful of guys who want to stay behind after the first city. Stay behind in Kiev and not even go to Kharkov and Sumy. And some, of course, will go on to Kharkov, then want to stay there and not go to Sumy. Some will go to Sumy and not want to come back right away to Kiev. It's okay. It's easy to go back and forth between these cities in Ukraine, and we'll make that happen for you. We're looking right now at video footage from July 2016, Kherson. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. This is July. No, this is April of this year. I'm sorry. Recognize my friend Henry. Looking good in the red shirt, Henry. James is asking, I love your questions, guys. Let's keep going. Wanted to let you all know I'm going on my very first Foreign Affair tour on the Odessa Nikolaev Kherson tour in July. Great. Good for you, James. We met in Boston at a seminar last year. Whoa, where'd you go? And he says he wants to thank me very much for the seminar. And of course, James, you're very welcome. Ready this time around, and I can't wait to go in July. Yes, sir. No doubt about it, James. You're going to have a good time. Probably be there with you, and I'll make sure we have a good time. Rick says, hey, I decided going out with a 36-year-old lady. Ah, well, okay, let me have two 18-year-olds. Take care, brother. Rick's playing with me anyway. Don't forget to make your tour guys walk. Rick, enough. I made Rick walk a little bit on the last tour. He's giving me a hard time about that. So, no, Rick, you're not dating two 18-year-olds. You are dating someone who's 36. I'll make sure of it. My buddy Rick, I love him. Melvin from Chicago says, when will there be a seminar in Chicago? Will there be one sometime this year? Well, we'll see. We'll see, Mel. We'll see. I like Chicago. I like the seminars in Chicago. The last two seminars that we've done in Chicago were not as productive as I would have liked them to be. It's kind of interesting, really. Because we had a whole bunch of them in Chicago that were very productive before then. And I don't know, Mel, I might mix it up a little bit. I might hit up Milwaukee or Minneapolis or somewhere in the region, but Chicago's good, definitely, so we'll see. If there's going to be one in Chicago, it will probably be over the summer, and I will definitely keep you informed, my friend, okay? We'll see. We'll see. Somewhere in the Midwest that's accessible for people who are from Chicago definitely will be on deck sometime soon. Check it. Guys, if you have questions, I would love to answer them. That's what we're doing tonight. My name is Bud. We do this every Monday night, guys, at where you're watching right now. So just come back every Monday night and we'll have a live webcast for you. We're usually covering a topic like, what are some great questions to ask when you're out on a date with an international girl? Or, what are some of the steps of the fiancé visa process? Well, what are some specific things that someone who is, 10, 15 years older than his intended target audience can do to impress that target audience of women? Topics like that. We love to cover those things for you. I got at least a 2-year archives of those kinds of topics that you can go back and look at, and we'll always have more and more good information for you as we go forward. Tonight, I just got back from my seminars over the weekend, guys, so we're keeping it kind of informal, but I want to answer your questions. Drew says, had an RSVP for Orlando, but unfortunately couldn't make it. Sometimes you and John offer incentives exclusive to these events. That is correct, and we did. Is there still an opportunity for these incentives in the future, or is it only during the seminars? Drew, thanks for asking. I'll tell you what, if you call me tomorrow and we talk about what you want to do, I can still offer you the seminar incentives through tomorrow, okay? How about that? So, yeah. Yeah, guys, we've got great tours on deck for you. Great opportunities for you to get out in front of somebody, to meet a lot of very beautiful women, to have courtship and dates, and a tremendous amount of fun, and to give your love to somebody. I had such a good time at our seminars in Nashville and Orlando. And I always talk about some of the more difficult times in my life. I do tend to wear my heart on my sleeve. That is my strength and my weakness all in one. Although I haven't been made to regret that for a long time, which is spectacular. It just means that we're attracting a lot of really cool guys to our process. I talked in the seminars about some rough periods in my life, and how, just in the middle of some of the worst periods of my life, something would happen that would change the situation around considerably. And I think that's a common theme for a lot of guys. We go through these peaks, we go through these dark valleys. We always think a dark valley is never going to end, it's going to last forever, and then all of a sudden a beam of light comes out of nowhere. And sometimes that beam of light is the right person for us to spend the foreseeable future with, right? And you can have that experience because there are so many incredibly beautiful women in this process waiting to be discovered by you. But, buddy, you got to get up and go meet them, because they're not interested in a pen pal relationship, and they're not interested in a virtual relationship. They want a man. They want a real live man in their life to lean on. I love the expression that Ukrainian women use. They say, I want to be a weak woman. And what they mean is that they want you to be strong for them, because they work long hours. They work themselves to exhaustion sometimes. The weight of the world is on their shoulders. They're trying to take care of their children. They have nobody to lean on. And when a strong, confident, calm man shows up and that woman can lean on that man, they love that feeling. And so they say, I want to be a weak woman. It's not like you're going to hear women from our culture say that, and that's okay. We don't want women in our culture to be weak. That is the wording that is used when women in Ukraine express that they're just tired of having the weight of the world on their shoulders, and they want to lean on somebody. Like you, for example. If you're reliable and noble and able to be leaned on, you got to get out and get your girl, guys. There's no reason for you to sit back and settle for a virtual relationship. I mentioned this last week. I had a call from a gentleman not long ago. It made such an impression on me because this was a very smart man and a good man, a very nice man, I believe in his 60s, who told me he was in a deep relationship with this girl whose voice he'd never heard, whose last name he didn't know, he'd never met her. And it just amazes me how so many men convince themselves that they are in love and in a deep relation with a woman they've never talked to. Think about it. That's crazy. It's completely crazy. You haven't talked to her. You haven't met her family. You're in no relationship with that girl. You're exchanging some letters. That's not a relationship. That's a correspondence. There is a difference. There is. The good news is you can definitely have a relationship, which will feel a lot better than your correspondence, no matter how nice your correspondence is. Look at this video. You could be right there. We're going back to Curacao a couple of times this year. We'll probably use that exact venue. I bet a lot of these women will come back to another social because there were only so many men at the last social, and there were 8 or 9 times the women. And a lot of them didn't get to have a guy, didn't get to have a date. Here it comes. The fountain dance. I never get enough of this. I think we're going to see the fountain dance one more time. But anyway. That was such a good time on our tours, honestly. Somehow we keep it light. There's a lot of hilarity and a lot of laughter and a lot of good camaraderie. And man, what a blast. All right, check it. More questions from you guys, I'm sure. So let's see what we got. Ryan is asking, how good are the interpreters? Well, if we're talking about the interpreters that we're working with on our tours, they're pretty darn good. There it is. Look, guys, I mean, it takes years to become proficient in a language. It does. And that is an ongoing process. I mean, when you step into this realm, you're going to meet women who have been studying English for 3 years, for 5 years, for 7 years. You'll meet women who are English teachers. And that doesn't mean that they've learned every single letter and every single word in our language. It just means that they interpret based on the amount of knowledge that they have and the volume of words that they understand. And there are always gaps and always pockets. And now and then an interpreter will just ask you to repeat what you're saying or say it another way. And then the light will go on. She'll get it. She'll translate it perfectly for you. So it's always good to be cool and patient and understanding and to smile to your interpreter. I'll tell you what, guys, only a fool would go through this process abusing his interpreter. Only a complete fool, and I'm sorry to say it's happened before. Only a silly guy would be rude or curt with his interpreter, because I guarantee you, 1, the interpreter is not going to represent you really well if you do that, and 2, the girl that's being translated to is going to definitely notice that and not be impressed by it. On the other hand, if you're really cool and kind and fun and you have a great personality, your interpreter will really like you, and she will go to bat for you. She'll be your advocate. She will help you make the right impression. If she thinks the girl is interested in you, but the girl has some doubts for whatever reason, she'll reassure the girl and she'll help you to get it done. Our interpreters are great. Quite frankly, I really, really love our staff abroad. Rick says, if the lady I am writing to lives in the U.S., can we just apply for a green card, or do we need to do the fiancé visa? Well, there's an interesting question. Rick, you know what? That is a very circumstantial thing, to be honest with you, because I guess the question is, what is her current status in the U.S.? And that would probably impact what you do going forward. So, for example, if she is here on a tourist visa, I wouldn't marry her because that would be a violation of her tourist visa. I mean, you could get married, but then you probably need to go back and do a spousal visa in her country at the U.S. Embassy there before she can come to America. I don't know. I think honestly, in most cases, perhaps all of them, that whatever allows her to be here, unless she's a U.S. citizen, of course, whatever allows her to be here is a temporary status, and I probably would consult an immigration specialist around that. But go and meet your girl, find out what she's about. If the two of you like each other and you want to move forward as a couple, there definitely is a path forward. That is the good news. Whatever it is that any two people in this experience want to do, there is a path forward. There are always options and ways to accomplish bringing your girl here, spending your lives together. We just have to find out what the best option is, and we have resources. We have people who are available to us. Eddie says that he should be greedy and not say anything, not to tip anybody off. I know, Eddie, right? But wow, tons of ladies in the line of 40 to 50 who are beautiful. Eddie, I got good news for you. In China, in the Philippines, in Latin America, and certainly in Ukraine, and 10 times more so in Russia, there are so many incredibly beautiful women over the age of 35, and nobody's paying any attention to them at all. Because my awesome clients who I adore and love sometimes are just too silly to be age appropriate. They need a little bit of time to come to that right place, and they're dating 21 and 22-year-olds with no success. No success. But sometimes we just need to get that out of our system. I have definitely learned that. Sometimes the guys just need to get dating the younger women, out of their system. It could be a little bit of a frustrating experience to date women that are young, who aren't really sure, what they're doing here or what their expectations are or whether they're going to be able to finish what they start. So sometimes guys just need to go through that process. But if you go to Ukraine, for example, and focus on women who are 35 and above, there are many very beautiful, stunning women, and nobody's looking at them at all. I was very happy, actually, at my social in Orlando yesterday. My dentist friend David from Florida, what a great, lovely man, came out. And was so happy to have a tour with him in November. And he met a number of women, and one in particular that he likes a lot. And he showed me a picture of her, and I immediately recognized her. And she's in her 30s, possibly early 40s. And she's a lovely, lovely woman. And just, one of these women that I see every time I do a social in Kiev, because she just hasn't met the right person. And really, she's not meeting anybody because nobody's paying any attention to her. But she's very beautiful and absolutely a great life mate, potential life mate for the right guy, and he is a terrific guy. So, I can't help it. Anybody in my position would, guys. Fingers crossed. People that work for us all over the world, we love what we do, and we just think the cutest thing on the planet is when two lonely people find each other, and a really nice love relationship is the end result of that. Sometimes family and children and that kind of thing. Love it. Absolutely love it. That's why we do what we do. This is Dnepropetrovsk, I want to say, right? Yeah. We're all over the map, guys. Look, guys, we have a tour coming up in 2 weeks to the cities of Kiev and Odessa. You can go on it. You can meet incredibly beautiful women in high numbers, fall in love, have a great romantic time. What a great way to start the year. Go back and see her. Spend more time in April or May, maybe June. Spend a good amount of time, communicate every single day, talk to each other, develop that relationship. Go for it. File for the fiancé visa. It's going to take you 6 months to get it anyway. And by the end of the year, Christmas rolls around, your girl is here. You could totally do that in 2018. Nothing stopping you at all, my friend. Call us up, reach out to us, talk to us, and ask us, what you need to do to be able to get yourself in that video so you can meet the ladies. We'll definitely advise you around that. Another question that came up, actually a comment that came up, was one of the girls who was in the live Skype session that I did with our Odessa office yesterday during our seminar. So yesterday I was in Orlando. We did a live seminar. In the middle of the seminar, we had a live Skype with Odessa, Ukraine. It was 7 in the evening in Odessa, Ukraine. In our office manager, and 5 or 6 very, very nice girls who came by, who have registered profiles at loveme.com, just wanted to talk to us in the middle of our seminar so the guys could talk to the girls and ask questions. It was really, really cool. Good times. And so in the process of talking to some of the girls, we were asking, what do girls like to do? When you come to America, what do you want to do? And they just said, I remember one girl who was 26 and very cute said that she just wanted to meet a man who was nice and loving and to have that love relationship. And as a joke, she said, and it would be nice if he would occasionally buy me, some shoes and some skirts and dresses or whatever. And she meant it as a joke. But the truth is that when you're in Ukraine, it's just kind of interesting. And this is true in a number of places, guys. But when you go to Ukraine, clothing is very expensive in Ukraine. Shoes especially. Boots are very expensive in Ukraine. The average Ukrainian salary is about $250 to $300 a month. Clothing is expensive. Sweaters, jackets, coats are expensive. Women can get them. They just have to save money and have resources. And it's not like people don't have clothes in Ukraine. They do, but they don't have a lot of clothes in Ukraine. And every girl, no matter what her age, loves to wear a new dress or loves a new pair of shoes. That is just how brains of women are wired. We know that. We expect it. There's nothing nicer for a girl when you're in a comfortable place and she's a good person and she's in the relationship for the right reasons. There's nothing better than buying her shoes or buying her a dress or giving her something to wear proudly, and then go out on a date. Let's go buy a dress for you, honey. Let's take out on a date, wear the shoes, wear the dress, let's go dancing, whatever it is. The worst pair of shoes in Ukraine for a woman is probably an $80 pair of shoes, guys, right? $80 for a pair of shoes, just an everyday blasé pair of shoes, nothing designer, nothing dressy, no great colors. In the wintertime like now, everybody needs winter boots. The worst pair of winter boots in Ukraine is probably a $200 pair of boots. It's absolutely ridiculous, the price of quality boots, winter boots in the Ukraine. So, when you met somebody and you're in that relationship and you've tested that relationship and you're comfortable with each other, it's very nice for you to be able to, take her shopping and buy some shoes, buy a dress. You will have tremendous fun with that because she will be incredibly happy and having fun with that. Every girl wants shoes and dresses. You got to be up to that to some extent. What else? Biggest differences, Warren is asking, between the ladies 22 to 32 from Ukraine, Colombia, and the Philippines when it comes to marriage. Well, to tell you the truth, that has nothing to do with Ukraine, Colombia, or the Philippines, Warren, but it's a good question. I understand that. The thing is, when you're 22, you have limited life experience. There's no two ways about it. We never go to anybody who's 21 for advice, right? And there's a reason for that. Although, having said that, I have some children that are in their 20s. They're pretty smart, to be honest with you. Smarter than I am by far. But the reality is, you need age, you need experience, you do, in relationships and in life, to really know what you want. 21, 22, you've just begun. You have. Honestly, I personally think, and I've got good reason to believe it, and I think most people probably agree, 21, 22, you have no idea what you're doing. That is not the time to get married at all. The problem is that, well, it's not the problem, but the reality is that some women have conviction that says, I'm not going to be in casual relationships until I'm 25, 26, 28. I want to find somebody, find that serious love relationship and get married. But as someone who's older, I think you've got to focus on women that are really, really as close to your age as you can get and still be comfortable together. So 32, you've had relationships, you've been lied to, you've been let down, you've been abandoned, you've been, whatever you've been, wasn't fun, didn't want it to happen to you, but it did. You learned a lot, and you learned the value of someone who does speak honestly, who does care about you, who does treat you with respect. We need the women to experience a certain amount of life, and we do as well, so that we all understand why we're here. So that when we find somebody who is a great potential life partner for us, we don't let that opportunity slip by. We latch onto it because we know this is that rare person that I've been looking for. It's very hard to do that at the age of 22. In Ukraine, for example, in Colombia, all over the world, 22-year-old men, they're young, they're handsome, they're in great shape, they haven't done anything wrong yet. So there's no bias against them. When they're 25, 28, 29, and some of the women have been let down, again, they've had those failed relationships, they've been hurt. You learn from those experiences, and I think one of the positive things that comes out of those bad experiences is that we sharpen our focus to identify somebody that we know is going to be as serious about us as we are about them. Right, Warren? And Ryan asks, here's my final question, guys. Is it common or expected for the men to shower the women with gifts or financial support? Well, the key word there is shower. I don't think you need to shower women with gifts, Ryan, and I don't think that's expected. I also don't think it's appropriate. But I do think that gift giving is part of courtship, and a very fun part of courtship. I also think that gift giving to a certain extent, when there are holidays or anniversaries or special occasions, you can't blow that. You definitely got to be up for that and be ready for that. So what if, for example, she's from Europe, or she's from China, or she's from a country where they celebrate March 8th. March 8th is just another day in America. It is an incredibly important day all around the world, and why it isn't in America, I don't know, but this is International Women's Day, and it's celebrated with flowers and gifts and relief from chores and special considerations and dinner celebrations, and you definitely don't blow off your girl on March 8th. Wow, bad idea, right? Big insult to your girl. What your girl wants is to be able to go on Facebook and post, look at the flowers that my man gave me for March 8th. Or, it's like Valentine's Day. It's like her birthday, all combined. It's a very, very important day. So to a certain extent, Ryan, you've just, flowers and perfume and chocolate. I mean, some people talk about the flower and chocolate stage of courtship. That is just a part of courtship. And I think it's fun, and I totally embrace it. And I think guys should as well. And financial support, again, the word shower. You don't have to shower somebody with financial support. And financial support, when you fall in love, you know you are in love together as a couple. You are in love with her. She is in love with you. You've tested that relationship a number of times. You have come out of those tests shining. You're a happy couple. You're complete together. You love each other. It's very natural in times like that to provide some level of some kind of financial support. Not necessarily a constant stream of financial support while you're still building that relationship, but something. Every now and then things come up, and you just have to be prepared for that, right? And again, that'll vary depending on a woman and her circumstances. It may vary depending on culture. If you have any questions about what's appropriate, you can let us know, and we'll talk those over with you, right? But don't let that freak you out, Ryan, right? Not at all. You won't ever need to do anything that isn't commonly expected and practiced in the art of love and courtship. Guys, I appreciate your questions tonight. They were all over the place, which is what I like. We like diverse topics. There are a lot of men who watch our webcasts, and whenever you ask a question, you're asking on behalf of the men who are too shy to ask the same question, or hear your question and think to themselves, wow, that's a good question. Wish I had asked that. So thanks for you guys who stepped up to ask me your questions. All of my buddies out there, I appreciate you so much. All the guys who came out to my seminars over the weekend, my friend Rick, you know, I love you, man. I appreciate you guys. Mel in Chicago, thank you for always being there, being a part of our family and what we do. I love our community. And if I can offer you any help or support, please reach out to me anytime, bud@loveme.com. We are going to be back 1 week from tonight. I'll have a topic for you guys. Got plenty of time, so we'll address something really specific. So bring a pen. There's something to write with. It's going to get real specific for you, okay? Have a great week in the meantime, and we will talk to you 1 week from tonight. Thanks again, guys.